Alright, g'day Teacher Geeks. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can start your own teaching blog in less than a minute. And then I'm going to show you an old blog of mine that I used when I was teaching English, and just to show what can be done with a little bit of work, not too much, but how it will make your teaching life much easier. So the blogging site we're going to use is Blogger, and I think this is owned by Google. And so just word of warning, you'll need a Gmail account. This will be linked to your Gmail if you're using Blogger. All the other blogging sites I tried, WordPress and such, they were pretty tricky to navigate, and they required you to pay for the domain and to spend money. So I wanted to use Blogger because it's free for the easy features. So we're going to link this to my Teacher Geeks Gmail account. Today is the second day of my summer holidays, and so I'm actually going to create a Teacher Geeks blog today. Okay, so up here in the top left, sorry you can't see my mouse, which is frustrating, but that's okay. We're going to go here in the top left where it says create blog, just underneath the B there. Choose a blog name. Okay, Teacher Geeks Draft, I'm going to call this. Next, choose a URL. Okay, so this is the website name for my blog. If I go teachergeeks.blogspot, what comes up? This blog address is not available. All right, teachergeeksblog.blogspot. How about that? That's available now. Cool. So save that. Right, already my blog is ready to go. So let's go new post, create a post, and say welcome to my new blog. Thanks for coming. Cool. I'm not going to add pictures or do any of that stuff later. This is things that you can play with on your own. This is my first time using Blogger, but it looks like it's all pretty intuitive, and it looks like it's much like writing a Word document. So let's hit publish, confirm, and we're live. Now if I go over here to the bottom, scroll down to the bottom left, we're going to see view blog, and this is what my Teacher Geeks blog looks like. All right, that's simple. Now there's loads of others. Just I've done that in less than a minute. Created my first teaching blog, but I want to show my my English blog. So this is a blog I haven't touched in years. I think my last post was 6 years ago because I've stopped teaching English. But this, for me, demonstrates why I started blogging. And thank you, Jamie, my IT teaching colleague and good friend, who now helps me with all my endeavors. He gave us a 1-hour session on starting a blog, and I wanted to create a blog for a couple of reasons. The first one is I wanted a really nice way to store all my materials and all my teaching and my resources that the students could access. And I wanted them to be able to find all the information, materials, and just have it on a website. Now I know nowadays we're probably getting better with our own schools hosting certain services, platforms where we can post all our materials. My school at the moment uses Schoolbox. It's actually really valuable, so I don't need to have a blog because Schoolbox works very well. But in the old days, it just didn't have it, and sometimes you might be using something like ManageBack, which I don't think is really built for this kind of thing, and that's generally what happens. These sites like WordPress and Blogger, they're designed to make creating websites very, very easy, and that's their function. They don't have additional functions like trying to collect work, mark work, do all those deadlines. So some of those platforms like ManageBack aren't that useful for just having a stockpile full of your resources. The other benefit to your own blog is if you change schools, everything here still exists. Another huge benefit that I didn't realize of using a blog is that people around the world can see it. This is a website. If we go to my Teacher Geeks Draft, anyone here can go to this welcome to my new blog post, right? And they can read it. And so, that's kind of cool. So when we look at I created pages here. This was for my literature studies and language. So I was doing IB language and literature. And then let's look at my poetry, and we were doing Wilfred Owen's war poetry, and I created these pages here for all the different poems. And so I didn't put the poem here, but let's say I wrote something here with an identity disc. I wanted the students to have some contextual information so they kind of knew a bit about the background, and I created a post like this where they got the glossary of the key terms. And what this allowed was for the students, I hope that's pretty easy to navigate, poetry, Wilfred Owen's poems, and they find all this stuff. they can use this to revise for their own exams. And the day before an assessment, they've got it all here. I don't have to be answering pesky emails. Sir, can you email this to me? Where was that thing we did in class? How can I find this information? If I've done the time behind the scenes building up my blog over the years, then I can just tell the students, here is where to find it. So whilst it does look like a lot of work up front, and it kind of is, I do think it saves work in the long run. And the more you do it, like anything, the more you'll enjoy it and the easier it gets. The unexpected surprise of creating my blog was to see people around the world using it. And it's now, for me, if we look at, I still remember when I saw someone from from Abu Dhabi was reading my blog. We come back here, and what's today? Okay, I've had 3 people view the site today. I mean, like, obviously I'm not, this doesn't bother me too much. Over the months, this is like 100, 200 people. It was just kind of cool to see that maybe I could create something. This site was 100% designed just for my own students, so I don't think anyone else would be getting anything from it. But it was kind of cool to see that people around the world were maybe benefiting from some of the things I was writing about, and this was more for my psychology posts. Here we can see the top posts and pages, and here I can see all the different countries where people are visiting my blog. And when this first happened about 12 years ago, it was really cool to see that. Now suddenly I could write something, I could create a resource for my own students, post it to my blog, and now it's valuable possibly for students around the world. And I dare say my psychology blog would serve that purpose. So if we go to my IB Psychology, you'll see I use WordPress, and my IB Psychology blog is far more advanced because I've been working on this for 10 years. This is the homepage now, and it's all sorted by categories. And let's say I might go to my internal assessment, click on this page, and then these are all the different categories linked by the date that they were published. And these are all different blog posts of mine. Okay, we've got the title, we've got the images. And so now it's somewhere between about 3,000 to 5,000 people a day visit my IB Psychology blog. It's kind of cool. I get the odd message from people saying that it's helpful, which is a really nice feeling. As a teacher, you can create something that makes my teaching life easier and better, I think, and also will help my students. And the other reason why I started a psychology blog is just one thing we can see here. So my site, my most recent posts down here. There's some links to my Facebook groups. You can go to the categories up here to navigate things a bit more easy. We're trying to make it as easy as possible to navigate. The bigger your blog becomes, the more tricky it is to make these decisions on how to get things to navigate. Now, if you've got stuff you can sell, I've embedded here some ads, and they go over to our store. But okay, 404, that can't be found. We need to Jamie. I'll get on top of him to figure that out. We can put links into all our other stuff here as well. Okay, and then this all links to other posts and comments, although I'm about to turn off the comments on my blog because it's getting a bit too big and too many silly comments made by students that I have to navigate. You can put like functions, you can put links to all the socials and that kind of stuff. So a main reason why I created a psychology blog is because I kept coming across things that were really interesting, and I thought maybe a student might find this interesting, but I didn't want to use the whole class's time to cover that content, right? So I come across this, a rat in an fMRI machine, and I'm like, there's this really cool video. It goes for 7 minutes. I don't want to spend that 7 minutes of class time because it's not really relevant to our content, and only one of you might actually find it interesting. But I wanted to have a place that I could direct the students to go and say, here's where you can explore it in your own time. So that to me was a teacher blog serves those 2 main purposes for me. Is that it is a place that you can stockpile all your teaching material so the students can access it when they want it, and you can keep it in perpetuity for whatever teaching job you go to. Also, you may find that things you create will help students that aren't your own in other places and maybe other teachers. That's kind of cool. And it allows you to have a place where you can extend students based on their interest if there's something that they want to pursue, but you don't want to use class time directly for that. So you can kind of foster that further passion in your subject for that rare student who might want to go a bit extra and delve into something. So that's how you create a blog. That easy. Just go to Blogger and do that. If you go to WordPress, you can create one, but I think you're going to have to pay. Mine's all done by WordPress. I'm not sure how much we pay. I chalk it up as a business expense these days, but for me, it's worth it. So I hope that was helpful. I do strongly recommend getting into blogging, just so you know. I mean, that's how my whole side career from teaching started, with just starting a blog. I created my blog, wrote my resources. I started writing. Then I started writing psychology materials, and I kept writing, and then I got ideas for other things that I could write, and then that introduced me to people like at Tutor to You, and then I started working for them, and I was like, oh, okay, wow, I never realized there was this world out there where you could create stuff for your own students and then sell it on to other people, and then that got me into writing my textbook, and then that got me into starting YouTube, and then this whole idea of becoming a publisher as a teacher was kind of new. So if you haven't yet, you don't have to have those big lofty aspirations to go beyond your own classroom, but if you want to start a blog, it's that simple. And like a lot of things, the more you do it, the easier it will become. I'm going to start today a WordPress blog for Teacher Geeks, and using the WordPress blog, I'll explain and show how to do certain things, like how do you embed these images, how do you that's an image there, how do you embed a video with this handsome fella, so people can just watch the video directly into your so people can just watch a video like this, and you can just embed it directly into your blog. I'll explain all that in the videos to come. Alright, I hope that was helpful, and happy blogging.